My name's Max. I'm a coach, guide, teacher, and mentor for people who are looking to gain more clarity in their life. The reason I decided to shoot this video, and the reason I'm going to do a series of videos in the same vein, is actually to help with my own clarity. You see, over the past 11 years, since I was 29 and I'm just about to turn 41, I've gone through an ever-evolving process to actually gain clarity over my direction in life, my vision in life, and what I want to create as a product of that vision. And what I was reflecting upon was the nuance of the experience I went through in order to get to this point now, having worked with hundreds and hundreds of people in business, in their families, just tease apart the lives that they've created in order to create new space or create space for something else to exist, something they feel called to create. And I thought the best way for me to do that was illustrate how I have come to be here, so that you can see through my experience where that might intersect with your current experience. So as you sit here and you watch these videos, you can look at them from that frame of, I'm actually speaking about you. My experience is your experience. So I do this in order to gain further clarity over where I'm at in my own life, what the next months, years, and decades potentially could look like, and where I really want to go with this thing, this creation, this guiding, this mentoring of people to unpack and gain clarity over what their heart is truly calling for them to create. Because that's the thing I'm going through at the moment too, is that there's this calling, this constant calling around what do I want it to look like. And as I take more and more action towards that thing, it starts to shape and mold, right? I create new possibility, new opportunity. I have different conversations. Things that once were highly valuable and important to me start to fade off into the background. My environment starts to shift. The work I do shifts. It's a creative process and a creative flow that takes on new meaning, new value over time. And it's this that I want to illustrate, is that it's fluid in nature. It's not make X amount of money and everything will be okay. That might be part of your journey for sure, but in my experience, that's not what life is about. Life is happening while you're creating the thing, and we often miss that bit. So we forget about the journey and we just focus on the destination. Our vision is only as far as the outcome that we're looking for, and once we get to the outcome, we feel okay for a day or two, fulfilled on some level. But then we go back into the trenches and go, okay, cool, now what do I have to make? Rather than enjoying the process of actually creating for yourself, or being in the relationships you're currently in, right? Resentment starts to creep into your life, and as resentment starts to take over, you start to view the world in such a way where it's the world's fault, it's the world's problem, you're in this position. And my journey up until this point, and I believe it will be a version of this to some extent as I move through the levels of awareness, will have that underlying current of resentment. It's the thing I've had to overcome above and beyond all else. And there's a bit of a cycle, a bit of a pattern that happens, especially when you hit a point in your life where you feel like you've learned everything you can learn in that particular area, whether it be in your job or your business or whatever it might be. And you start to get resentment. You start to look outwards for the reason that your life is the way it is, rather than inwards, because in here is scary as fuck. Out there, you can see that it's not your problem, it's their problem. And if they change, then therefore your life will become better. But as you know, undoubtedly, you'll be giving your power away if you choose to focus your energy and attention on what others could be doing better, rather than how you can become more. So that's what this little series is about. I don't know to what shape it will take. It makes sense for me to do this because as I'm sitting there trying to write this out and get it out of my head, it's not hitting the page in the way I wanted to hit the page, or the way I thought it would hit the page. And I'm struggling to find the words. And one of the other tools I've got at my disposal is my ability to be able to think through an idea to better understand the idea. So this is a way to help me think. And I thought if I could share my thinking as I'm moving through it, then that will allow me to write and create in a far more powerful and succinct way that has the potential to also help a few people along the way. So, love to hear your thoughts and comments. Please share them below or wherever this finds itself on the World Wide Web. And let's start a conversation, because that's what this is about. It's not about some sort of transaction. It's not about making more money. It's not about being seen to be creating the thing that you think you should be creating because that's what others are creating, and you'll only ever be successful if you are, or you fit into the mold in which the world wants you to fit into. It's about actually going internally, going deeply inside and start to play around and have that conversation. Just you and your soul, the heart, the spirit of why the fuck you get out of bed each day, right? And be in communion with those two places, the internal and the external, right? It's about removing the veil of not being able to be yourself because you're so worried about the impact or implication of you saying something that's not normal for the people in your environment to hear from you. It's about gaining clarity, void of the noise outside, not just clarity on the areas you think you can find a little hole or a gap in, because if I can do it in that way, then everybody else in my life, that they won't know, or they won't see it, or they can't interact or intersect with it in order to knock me off my perch and test my resolve around this thing that I find so deeply important. Just understand, as you go through this process, as I've been through this process, you'll start to lose people in your life that were once defined as extremely important. And it's not about actively going out and culling your friend groups or your family groups or your relationship groups, your social groups. That will naturally start to evolve because you will live into a newer version of yourself. You'll be finding new information, you'll be having new conversations, and you'll start to draw yourself closer to the people who are in line with what you found inside here. So whatever happens inside of here as you unpack it will inevitably and naturally find a place outside of you, and that is where your results will come from. Your results and outcomes for your life will start to shift because you've explored this, and it's a natural process or progression to actually go and search out in the real world, out in the physical world, a place for that to live, a place for that creative part of you to come in contact, right? It's where you will start to cement this value, this self-value that you create within yourself, right? It'll be a foundation fortified by your own making, right? You won't be looking over your shoulder thinking, what do others think about this? One, you'll know because they'll tell you. For the majority, they won't say anything. And two, you'll know because it feels right to make that thing. Right, you'll know you're in line. Right, the world will start to show up in different ways. You'll become less attached and more committed to the things that you say are important to you. You'll gain more clarity. Even from the start of this video to now, where I get to the point where I'm about to press stop and hit send, I've got a little bit more clarity. I just needed to get it out. Okay, and this is what the process is like, is that most people don't go through this process. They think, I can't write down anything on the page because if I write that down, it's not perfect, then what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. And paper's not a finite resource, nor is ink. So you can continue to write until you figure it out. I can continue to shoot this video until I figure it out. That's what it's about. It's about a playful nature. It's about creating. It's about going beyond these roadblocks, these self-imposed limitations. That I can't make this because, I can't do this because, I can't create that because. What if you could? What if it was as easy as just saying the opposite? I'm going to make this. I am making this. Look, I just made it. Let it go and move on. Make the next thing. Enjoy the process.